On India Upfront, as usual, viewers, the biggest story of the day. The Enforcement Directorate is on the hunt. You've seen its law enforcement officers conducting raids across the nation. A few days ago, the agency arrested Aam Aadmi Party's high-profile Delhi minister and a confidant of Delhi Chief Minister Kejriwal, Satyendra Jain. Now the central agency has issued summons to the Gandhis, to both the Gandhis, Rahul Gandhi and his mother Sonia Gandhi. They will have to appear before the Enforcement Directorate in the next few days. In fact, on the 5th of June and the 8th of June respectively. On the 5th of June only because Rahul Gandhi is not in India. Viewers, in 2015, because of a petition filed by Dr. Subramanian Swamy, the Gandhis had to endure the humiliation of appearing before a local court in the union capital, in the heart of the union capital, like common accused, and only managed to wriggle out of going to jail by securing bail. Now the BJP says their luck has run out and they will have to go to jail for misappropriating funds. The Congress has hit back, saying the ED closed the case in 2015 and is now under pressure to reopen the case because the party wants to muzzle opposition voices that are exposing the government's failings. Viewers, what is the case against the Gandhi duo, the mother and the son? One, concealment. Rahul Gandhi's 2011-2012 IT returns, according to the agency, hid crucial information. The directorship of Young India, the largest stakeholder, was withheld. Second, disproportionate income. Let's go back to that graphics that we were just showing. Disproportionate income. Rupees 68 lakhs declared by Rahul in 2011-2012 IT returns. This really is the crux of it. Income from Young India shares were pegged at rupees 154 crores. A bogus loan, 90.21 crores given to AGL assigned to Young India. It's a complicated case. Rupees 90 crores loan written off for paltry sum of 50 lakhs. Sweetheart deal. Young India purchased shares of AGL, Associated Journals Limited, owned all the assets. So viewers, these really are the facts, and the IT department has also issued statements in its orders, especially when it went up to the tribunal, the IT tribunal, didn't have good things to say about Rahul Gandhi. Here is how the story has played out in the media. Surjewala, the spokesperson, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, of the Congress rather, versus Kishan Reddy of the BJP. We've also had Abhishek Manu Singhvi come out in public and question the logic. Listen in.
जिस मानसिकता ने अंग्रेजों का साथ दिया था, आज गुलामी की प्रतीक वो मानसिकता आजादी की कुर्बानियों से प्रतिशोध ले रही है। इस बार उन्होंने एक नई कायराना व डरपोक साजिश की है। नेशनल हेरल्ड मामले में अब प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी ने ईडी से नोटिस जारी करवाया है।
आप कोई गलत नहीं करे तो डरने के बाद क्या है, बातचीत करते हैं, इंक्वायरी के लिए, इंफॉर्मेशन के लिए बातचीत करते हैं। हमारा प्राइम मिनिस्टर को, गवर्नमेंट को कोई संबंध नहीं है, ये रूटीन एक्टिविटी है। हमारा ईडी भी रूटीन एक्टिविटी करे।
That the fake issue of AJL, Associated Journals, is an attempt by BJP's propaganda machinery to deviate, diverge and digress the attention of citizens from the multifarious vital issues of inflation, falling GDP and social unrest, social divisiveness in this country. And I'll demonstrate that to you in a minute. By targeting National Herald every now and then, the BJP has in fact disgraced, disrespected and dishonored the freedom fighters and their contributions to the freedom struggle. This is truly a very weird case, alleged case, a money laundering case on which summons are issued with no money involved. Reeks of vendetta, of pettiness, of fear, as my friend said, of political cheapness.
Political cheapness is what the Congress is describing this. They say it's really a bizarre case, money laundering case with no money involved. Dr. Subramanian Swamy, the original petitioner, here with us this evening to take some straight questions. Your allegations are being linked to a vendetta. The action by the ED is also being linked to a vendetta.
Well, that's easy to say. I'll give you one example. They say there's no money involved. Well, the money involved was this, that they got a fat loan which they from a company called Dotex in Calcutta,
right?
Which however in its account says it was a donation, and they got it interest free, and they used that for buying shares in National Herald. Now, why would a company like that, which has dubious background, they are known as money launderers, why would they give an interest-free loan to the National Herald, which they say is a donation? The company says it's a donation, and the National Herald accounts say it is a loan. So obviously that company, and there's information that they have received money by another channel from the Gandhis, and that was then converted into a transactionable method by the company giving them the loan or the donation. So that is the crux of the Enforcement Directorate. Secondly, let me also clarify, I thought it was too trivial to reject it earlier, but it's coming over and over again. When in 2015, I gave a complaint, it was sent to the finance minister with a copy to the ED. The finance minister is the one who closed it. The ED never closed it. It was lying in their files, and then again in 2019 I gave another complaint, this time with 300 pages of documentation. And on that basis, my young friend, associate Satya Sabharwal, he went there to the Enforcement Directorate, sat with them, went through the whole papers and convinced them that this is a case of money laundering prima facie, and that's how they've acted. Now we'll test all this out in the court. When I was doing the National Herald case also, the same thing was said, all laughable, is all ridiculous, his jealousy, his anger, all these things were said. But then they went all the way to Supreme Court. The Supreme Court finally told them, go back to the trial court and take bail. Appear in there, get arrested and ask for bail. I do not object to their getting bail. I could have objected. In the case of Chidambaram, the ED objected and he was sent for 106 days to jail. So these are things which, because of the technicalities of the law, people get confused. But I'm saying that all these are prima facie established. Now the trial will take place and then we'll see. And of course the main cases are now in a very advanced stage. There's only a question of quarrel over documents, which they are refusing to supply me, the accused. So that's why there is some delay. I've gone to the High Court to get a relief on that. And then after that, I think from August onwards, that will also move very fast. And I'm hoping certainly before 2024, everything will be completed.
Well, Dr. Subramanian, Swamy, thank you very much for sharing your insight with us here on India Upfront. He's the man, of course, who's leading this crusade, so to speak, against the Gandhis. And there has been, of course, movement today, as you know, viewers. What does this mean? Let's open this up. We have with us the BJP's national spokesperson, who's also a lawyer, Gaurav Bhatia. We have with us Mahima Singh, lawyer and a Congress sympathizer. Biswajit, spokesperson of the TMC. Their party says that the Congress party is right because the ED goes on these long, protracted witch hunts, comes up with nothing. Look at our case. The nephew of the Chief Minister of Bengal is under the ED scanner. Nothing comes of it. They're empty charges. Dr. Sumant C. Raman, who will today also go after the Enforcement Directorate, I'm sure, will tear into its record. Mr. Rajagopalan, of course, senior journalist, who also has an understanding of this particular case. Let's open this up. Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, we know the Congress line. The fact is that this matter was sought to have been closed, we've heard Dr. Swamy, by the FM himself in 2015. Some people say the courts also rubber-stamped that decision. The CBI rather came out and also closed the matter in 2015. Why is it bouncing back into the public domain?
Rahul, first of all, I think Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji is a very seasoned lawyer, my colleague at the bar, but he wasn't fair to the country because he did not disclose a very vital fact. The fact is, and I'm placing it for the benefit of the viewers, that Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi and other Congress senior leaders moved the Delhi High Court and they asked for quashing of the criminal offence under Section 420 cheating and other Indian Penal Code offences. The Delhi High Court, in its wisdom after looking at the material, decided not to quash the proceedings and they made some very scathing remarks. After which, Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi moved the Supreme Court. And by an order dated 12th February 2016, Rahul, note the date, the Honorable Supreme Court confirmed that portion of the Delhi High Court judgment saying that we will not quash the proceedings. That means there was prima facie material against Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. This fact, very vital but not disclosed by Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. My second point is, why is it that the Gandhi Parivar feels that they are above law? Why do they feel that they have this birthright of looting the country? Let's not forget, I think Gandhi Parivar is the only family in India, Rahul. Sonia Gandhi is out on bail in this very matter. In this very matter, please understand. Rahul Gandhi is out on bail in this very matter. And Robert Vadra again has taken anticipatory bail in another corruption matter. So 3 members of the family, ये bail family है, bail गाड़ी, जैसे प्रधानमंत्री जी ने कहा था. My third point is, I heard Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi and his defense was this is political vendetta. Now, Bhajanlal case decided by the Supreme Court states very clearly that political vendetta is a ground for quashing of the proceedings. The same have not been quashed, and I will tell you, and this fact is very important. In the National Herald case, they say it is political vendetta. Proceedings not quashed. Augusta Westland, they again cry foul, they say it is political vendetta. Then there is the land scam in Haryana, when the Congress government was in power under Mr. Huda. They say it is political vendetta, not quashed. Bikaner land scam, Supreme Court ordered a probe. They say it's political vendetta, not quashed. Rajiv Gandhi Foundation receiving funds from the government. Abuse of power. They say it is political vendetta. No proceeding has been quashed. Okay. What is my point? The point is very simple. You may cry foul, But the court of the country has to quash the proceeding, and I challenge everyone that under Narendra Modi ji, if they can show me one order of the Delhi High Court or any High Court or the Supreme Court quashing the proceedings of ED, CBI or IT department.
Let me also quickly refer to one statistic, viewers. The Enforcement Directorate, under a lot of criticism, thought to be an agency that basically dances to the master's tune, which is the government. And look at the performance chart there of this agency. Number of searches conducted, more than 3,000. Number of ECIR's, well, if you could just make it a bit more full frame, it'd be easy to see it because it's quite far off. Number of ECIRs recorded, 4,964. Prosecution complaints filed, 943. And name of a number of convictions and persons convicted, 23. This is a Lok Sabha question response to that. So you can see that convictions remains very low. It's a matter of concern. Nonetheless, does this apply here to this case is a fundamental question. Let's also quickly bring you up to speed with what, in fact, at one point, the Income Tax Tribunal had said. It dealt a huge blow to the Gandhis. It had come out and said a number of things against the Gandhis which bear repetition, especially against Rahul Gandhi. And it had said that at the time of seeking registration itself, Rahul Gandhi had concealed the material facts and not disclosed the entire events of transactions which had undergone from the date of inception of assessee company till the grant of registration, and one of the conditions on which the registration has been granted stood violated from day one. So I want to bring in Mahima Singh. Here is the Income Tax Appellate Tribunal, which said this in May of 2019. How do you square this with the Congress suggesting this is vendetta? And of course, what the BJP is saying, that you have moved this application, claiming vendetta, etc., but Supreme Court or the High Court hasn't ever granted you any relief. We can't hear you, Mahima Singh. You might be on mute. I don't know. You can just... Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Go ahead.
Thank you for having me on the panel, Rahul. I will begin my debate, my stance on the matter by saying that by putting up a question rather, which to the neutral eye of any law-abiding citizen comes at first when we look at the charts that you just exhibited on the screens. When we hear the allegations of the BJP spokesperson that we just heard when he called Bail Gadi, when he referred to the Congress Parivar as that, from the neutral point of view of a law-abiding citizen, I'm putting this question up. Is it only one party that is calling it a political vendetta today? Or is it most or every party which is not the BJP or its ally? That is, I think, a very important question that needs to be brought up here, Rahul. Apart from that, a lot of other very important questions, relevant questions surface when we look at what you just showed us, the charts of ED, the history of the ED, the 17-year history. In fact, there was FERA earlier, then there was FEMA, PMLA. Now, of course, ED has been there. But the questions that arise, and I will put the questions that come to my mind as a law-abiding citizen, are that why should the correlation between the 2019 parliamentary elections and the highest number of ED raids in that year or the investigations in that year not be analyzed, which are the highest in the history? In the year 2019, the number of raids and number of investigations were the highest. Why does ED lose interest in the investigation of leaders that actually switch sides to the BJP? To name a few, Mukul Roy, Himanta Biswa Sharma, or Jyotiraditya Scindia, who was in the Congress earlier or later switched sides to the BJP, one EOW proceeding was given up against him. Why is it that Home Minister's assets that have also increased manifold, his movable and immovable assets, in fact, threefold in the past 7 years, why is it that they do not worry the autonomous agencies? Because as far as I believe, the corruption is to concern those who are sitting in the office at present more than those who have already been there and who are being framed today, as alleged by most parties, as political vendetta. These are just few of the questions that I will be bringing up in the debate henceforth.
Okay, let me bounce that off, Mr. Bhatia. Mr. Bhatia, while the BJP is cornering the Gandhis over alleged corrupt practices as we speak, Jharkhand government has ordered the state's Anti-Corruption Bureau to probe the alleged disproportionate assets of 5 BJP leaders who served as ministers in former Chief Minister Raghubar Das's cabinet. At that time, you said that this is vendetta. You said this is vendetta. I have it here on record. BJP has a list of leaders being linked or directly named in disproportionate asset cases. Maharashtra leader Chitrawa, Rajasthan leader Ghanshyam Tiwari, Goa leader Pandurang Madkaikar, and who can forget the Karnataka's Reddy brothers. Of course, that's a separate case. But all of these disproportionate asset cases, all of these people taking the plea that this is vendetta by the local state government.
Yes, Rahul, I was listening to the political analyst Mahima ji, who has a soft corner and is a sympathizer of the Congress party. Let me respond one by one. First of all, when she says bail gadi, it is not only confined to the Gandhi Parivar. I should also mention P. Chidambaram. I should mention Karti Chidambaram, D.K. Shiv Kumar. And my challenge still remains, Rahul. One judgment of the High Court or the Supreme Court where proceedings have been quashed. They would not be able to, tell the viewers about it.
Okay.
Second, you remember Lalu Prasad Yadav, convicted. And what was the UPA corrupt government trying to do? Bring in an ordinance so that he can be protected. We should not forget that. Third, the use and the abuse of CBI. CBI was termed as a caged parrot by the Honorable Supreme Court during the UPA regime. Now it's a hawk biting the corrupt. And Narendra Modi ji himself was interrogated by an investigating agency under the instructions of Sonia Gandhi for more than 11 hours when there was not an iota of evidence. What was that? Now the fairness of the investigating agency, I must cite this example as well. Mukul Roy ji, when he was in the BJP, he was questioned by the investigating agency, even being in the BJP. So this argument is not a very good argument to present that if you are in the BJP, then the investigating agencies which are independent in nature do not act. And last but not the least, if all parties come together and cry political vendetta, that does not make it political vendetta. It has to be tested on the cornerstone of the judicial precedence. There should be malified exercise and courts of the country decide that.
Okay, Dr. Raman wants to respond to you. I want to bring in Mr. Rajagopalan and the TMC's Biswajit Sen.
In corrupt activities.
Okay, yes.
Rahul,
yes.
Rahul, this is a truly incredible case. Money laundering without money, as you just put it. I mean, it is unbelievable. Look. This one, I would be very happy. If
no, but Dr. Raman, let's not. I asked those questions. We had a response from Dr. Swamy. I'm only asking you if that was the case, if it's an incredible case, if it's an incredulous case, why hasn't it been quashed? That's the point that Gaurav Bhatia keeps returning to, and that's also the point that Dr. Subramanian Swamy raised.
Look,
why no quash?
That is the question that you have to ask the courts, because they haven't been holding daily hearings on this particular matter. It has been dragging for 8 years. Now let me come to the point. The amount of 1 crore which Dotex gave to young Indians,
sir, none of us are in a position to get into
14%.
No,
that has been clarified by the Congress party.
Look, I don't know the facts. You don't know the facts. The court is deciding the facts. There is just one observation that I wanted to bring to your notice from.
Aren't facts important?
Of course they are, but you and I or the viewer cannot judge these facts. No one is. I never got into the facts. I'm getting into the ED's motivations here.
I am quoting the spokesperson of the Congress party, Randeep Surjewala, who is on record saying that this 1 crore was repaid with 14% interest back to Dotex. Now tell me, where does the money laundering come in?
Can I respond?
I mean, it is completely, that is point number one. Point
I
number
will
two,
explain to him.
what has happened, you tell me the progress on this case for the last 3 to 4 years. In fact, Dr. Swamy has been periodically venting out his frustrations, saying that no, there is no progress. You could refer his Twitter timeline for multiple tweets on this particular topic. So the point is, clearly, if the ED was to have found something about this matter, 2013 case, which has been, at multiple stages of investigation through 2014, 2015, 2016, and then again in 2018 and 19, and nothing has been found.
Can I respond?
Now again you want to revive it? Good luck.
Okay, you want to revive it? Good luck. Okay, let me bring in Mr. Rajagopalan and Biswajit Deb. Yes, Mr. Rajagopalan. The point is, it's vendetta with a capital V. Mahima Singh says so, Dr. Suman Siraman says so, Biswajit Sen is also going to say that in just a few moments. But Mr. Rajagopalan, respond.
I do agree with all of them. It is a vendetta. The reason being, during the UPA rule, Rahul Shivshankar, you may recall, Sonia Gandhi was given a Leopard Award by Belgium government. The Election Commission sought a reply from her. She refused to appear before the Election Commission. And she said it's a vendetta. Her own government is doing vendetta against her own Leopard Award. Ambika Soni got that award for her. Second, Office of Profit on Sonia Gandhi. Abdul Kalam, the President of India, sanctioned her prosecution or whatever that she was to be disqualified by the Election Commission. These two, Madam Sonia Gandhi did not appear before the Election Commission on Office of Profit also. Does it mean her own government is going on vendetta against her? That is one. Second thing, she chose to resign from the Lok Sabha and contest again. Gaurav Bhatia conveniently forgotten this aspect. He did not include it. I don't know why. He should have included this. The reason being, Sonia Gandhi ran away from the law. She did not face the law. But today, she has to appear before the ED and submit herself before the ED and answer why that 90 crores was money laundered. And where is Mr. Rahul Gandhi? And tomorrow, if he is appearing or not appearing, these are all certain questions to be answered by the Congress sympathizer who is sitting in the panel instead of going on Amit Shah or any other person. That is my point. And I say, Madam Sonia Gandhi, who sought to resign from the Lok Sabha on Office of Profit and Leopard Award, should also now face. Same Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi said we are ready to go to jail. On the day of ED notice, they went and appeared for the bail.
Okay.
So therefore, there is a contradiction in them.
Mr. Sen, it's Mr. Deb, Biswajit Deb, it's very simple. Get relief. What's the big deal? You move the courts seeking relief, wanting to quash these proceedings. Supreme Court, High Court didn't. The Income Tax Appellate Tribunal has come out with a scathing order against Rahul Gandhi. How is this vendetta?
Think about the other aspect. Now, what I would like to point out is this, that Mamata Banerjee, the Honorable Chief Minister of West Bengal, had written a letter on the 29th of March 2022 to all the opposition party leaders and the chief ministers, mentioning about the misuse of the central agency by the present NDA government. Now what I would like to say that BJP and the central government, you see basically BJP is a party of washing machine. It's a washing machine party. Whoever, all the corrupt leaders are taking shelter in this party and getting themselves absolved. You see the instance, one after another instance, I would point out. First, from Bengal, you see Shubhendu Adhikari. Then you see from Assam, please, I have not interrupted, please let me say. Then from Assam, Mr. Hemanta Biswa Sharma. Then BS Yediyurappa. Then the Reddy brothers. There are several instances, and whenever there is any election, these cage parrots of the central government, ED, CBI, income tax, they swing into action. I will just refer to some of the instances. You see, in 2021, just prior to the Bengal election, in February 2021, the ED summoned the wife and the sister-in-law of Abhishek Banerjee, the All India General Secretary of All India Tribunal Congress.
Biswajit Dev, you're repeating everything that
They swing into action.
No, 1 second. You're repeating everything that Miss Singh has said. I just want to ask you a simple question. Arjun Singh is now part of the TMC. But when he was part of the BJP, the West Bengal police had raided him for alleged financial irregularities in August 2020. Have you forgotten that? Was that a case of misusing your police? I'm asking you this question.
No. I must ask you also that what happened regarding the Delhi minister who has been summoned right now. You see,
no, I don't care about. I'm asking you this. Arjun Singh, when Arjun Singh was in the BJP, your own leader, when he was in the BJP, you unleashed the West Bengal police, raided him for alleged financial irregularities in August 2020. Today he's back in your ranks. So I'm asking you, why are you laundering, whitewashing his crimes?
If there is any allegation, the police must investigate.
No, but I'm asking you, why are you welcoming back a tainted leader? The tainted leader that you yourself were raiding is tainted. No, hang on. One second. Mr. Dev, it's a very simple question. It's a very simple question. It's a very simple question. Allow me to ask you.
Mr. Rahul, this is also a very, very simple question to you. Please allow me to answer. I have heard you. Please allow me to answer. I will just mention the several instances throughout the country. What happened in Tamil Nadu? The daughter of Mr.
I'm talking about a very specific interest. You are accusing the BJP of being one second. Washing machine. Forget about the other state. Let's talk about Bengal. You're the TMC. You represent interests of Bengal. Let me ask you, sir. Arjun Singh, you raided him for alleged financial irregularities. Is it true or is it not true?
Mr. Shivshankar.
Was Arjun Singh raided or yes or no?
There might be some allegations.
They might be. But you welcome him back. Your own police believes he's corrupt. No, your own police, sir, believe that he's corrupt, but you have no problems.
Let me say, the central agencies, they are acting at the behest of the political
sir, I'm talking about your own police. We are not even talking about the central agencies. Okay, viewers, in April, the West Bengal police travelled as far as Jalandhar to raid a BJP leader's house, once again related to a money transaction case. Was that a case of your misusing your police against political opponents? Simple second question.
We do not misuse. We do not misuse our investigating agencies.
Okay. But so Arjun Singh, who was a suspect, was unfairly targeted just because he left and joined the BJP. Is that what you're saying?
All the opposition leaders.
Okay.
All the opposition leaders.
Okay. Well, viewers, look. Whichever way you cut it, there is no accused. 1 second, Dr. Raman. There is no accused who's going to say that he's guilty or she's guilty. Let's first accept that point. I'm sure everyone will agree with me on that. That is for the courts to decide. The investigative agency produces a case. I only want to say one thing, and I want to ask this question of Mr. Bhatia. Mr. Bhatia, would you agree today that the Enforcement Directorate has its reputation on the line? If it can't come up with the goods, if it can't ensure convictions, then will you accept that this entire case, all these cases against the Gandhis were of vendetta? Mr. Bhatia.
Rahul, with your permission, would like to just quickly respond to what has been discussed.
My question was direct. I just want to ask you. Forget them. I think, sir, there is no point going.
I will answer your
specific question
first.
Please.
No, I will answer your question first.
Thank you.
You know, it's very easy to blame the investigating agency. But let me say this with some responsibility. In the case of Zakir Naik, in the case of Vijay Mallya, Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi, do you know this very Enforcement Directorate and CBI, they have successfully recovered and seized assets worth thousands of crores. Second, They filed charge sheets also. Now it is for the court to decide on the conviction or the acquittal part. But I must say that there is a radical change in the functioning of the investigating agencies under Shri Narendra Modi ji. They are more autonomous, they are confident, and they are nabbing the culprits. And that is why all these corrupt opposition parties are crying foul. Second,
in this case,
a charge was made that from the last 6-7 years, Rahul, nothing has been done in this case. Let me make it very clear. In May 2019, in this very case, assets worth 64 crores have been seized. 2019. After that, COVID came. And I think it should be left to the wisdom of the court how the proceedings of the case will proceed.
Well, viewers, let me tell you.
Third,
the BJP has thrown the kitchen sink.
The
BJP has thrown the kitchen sink against the Gandhis, no less. They've also thrown the kitchen sink against Kejriwal's key minister, the health minister. Obviously, the Enforcement Directorate now is on test. Its abilities to crack cases and follow up with convictions on test. Viewers, the ball now is squarely in the courts. And if the courts throw out these cases, the ED and the government, by extension, will have a lot to explain. Maybe then the cage-parrot conversation will return. The hawk, the parrot, the menagerie, viewers, it'll all be there. It'll be an animal farm, let me tell you. But the point is very clearly this. Reputations are at stake on both ends. I move on.